Welcome back to Hawboro and Triad Stage's social distancing radio theater and the fourth part of Edward II. In our last visit, Sheriff Ralph Links arrived at Astrodale with surprising information from a private eye in New Orleans that suggested an unwelcome visitor was headed toward Hawboro. Later on the day of the funeral, Olive Rogers chastised Eleanor for trying to hide behind the secret door in the library, and Isabella begged Edward to play the role of dutiful son and loving husband to impress the funeral guests of his ability to take over from his father. Confident she had convinced him, Isabella was devastated by a long-held secret revealed in anger by Lucy Evans' blessing. It is now mid-morning, March 27th. Most folks are at church, and Hawboro is Sunday morning quiet. A brand-new Plymouth Fury VIP speeds through town and parks in front of Astrodale. The lone occupant gets out of the car and walks up to the porch, checks the door, and finding it unlocked, enters. In the library, Edward is sitting at the desk, reading over some documents. After a moment, the stranger appears at the doorway, watches Edward unseen, and then...
I just let myself in. Where's the staff?
It's Sunday, Danny. Every soul in Hawboro except you, me, the Siskins, and a handful of Seventh-day Adventists are all busy reminding themselves they're Christians.
That explains the fact that nobody shot at me on Lee Street.
Give them time.
No doubt. I stopped in Atlanta at Rich's and picked this outfit up. You like it?
It's very you, but it ain't Hawboro.
You think it's over the top.
Can anything in Atlanta ever be over the top?
They do, have a psychosis. All of them. The whole damn city. Where, in spite of many facts to the contrary, they each and every one somehow manage to believe that Atlanta somehow matters. When any sane and reasonable soul knows that the last person to give a damn of any sort, good or bad, about Atlanta was General Sherman. And when you remind them of that, well, that really burns them up.
I can't believe it's really you.
It's me. Have I changed?
Not a whit.
Liar.
Come here, Danny. Come here.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm agitated from the road. And it is mighty strange being back in Hawboro. How long's it been for you?
Same as you. 5 years. My daddy made it clear I wasn't welcome.
That old song and dance routine? He sang me 6 verses and an encore. But he ain't singing no more. Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen.
Yeah, sit down, Danny. Can I get you something? Coffee or...
No, I'm restless and I can't seem to settle. Isabella with you?
She is. They are. Eleanor?
Right.
She's 10.
Holy moly. So this is the Bat Cave.
The inner sanctum. The one downtown was all for show. Daddy always did his real work here at the house.
I never was invited. My.
What do you think?
I think that a large amount of money mixed with an abundance of mediocrity can almost purchase the illusion of good taste. Heavens, honey, this is downright historical. Just not the right historical. It all should have gone. Decades ago.
Nothing goes. Nothing ever goes. My mother hated this room.
I can see why. It's so heavy. Late Victorian vomit, I believe, is an accurate name of the style, or New Money Southern. Same thing. How come your mama never saw fit to change it?
My mama wasn't a blessing. Not by blood.
But you are, and soon will be lord of this here manor.
I hope.
I hope so too. I bought myself a brand new Plymouth Fury VIP with the money you wired me on the high expectations that you'd soon be filthy rich. I'll help you pitch all of this out. All of it. A massive funeral pyre to toast your daddy in preparation for his eternal grilling in hell. All of it. The rug and paintings, the medieval torture instruments our ancestors called furniture. We are going to strip it to the wall and put deep pile carpet on the floor and everything 100% modern. With a great big painting over there, something avant-garde and perplexing. Watch out, Hawboro, there's a new king in town.
And a new queen?
Mary, will you watch yourself? I've met your queen, and she is not me. I ain't nothing here but the concubine.
You are the only love of my life, Daniel Gibbons.
Say that one more time, Eddie, please.
I'll say it 100 times. 1,000 times. Over and over till the end of times. You are the only love of my life, Danny Gibbons.
I bet you say that to all the boys. Don't get a drink, Eddie, please. It's too early in the morning.
It's just a taste, that's all.
Suit yourself.
Want one?
No. Baby, I got some things I need to say, and I ought to say them sober.
Can't they wait? Can't you whisper them to me tonight in bed?
No. These are things that can't be said in bed. These are things we got to sit up straight and be serious about, like grown-ups. I'm not joking, Eddie. I gotta talk to you about something quite important, and you got to make out like it's important to you, too.
Okay.
This is a somber room, isn't it? Makes me feel so very, very serious. I think maybe, if it's okay with you, I ought to get down to business and say all I got to say and get it over and done with.
I said okay, Danny.
But you got to promise me you'll let me get it said and won't twist my words or try to take advantage of my heart.
I wouldn't. Danny, here. Sit by me.
No. I need my distance.
Suit yourself.
Lay off the booze, baby.
I can handle it.
Of course you can. But lay off it for me.
Just one more nip, then I'll stop.
Well, hell, bring me one then. I can't be strong if you can't.
Sure.
Thanks. The good stuff. I should have known.
So?
Well, this is going back a ways. Back to that time right during the cleansing, you remember? Of course you do. So, your daddy had sent you overseas on business. Quick as a wink, a disappearing act worthy of Houdini.
It was not me.
Let me talk. This is my time to get said what needs to be said.
But you can't say that it was my...
I didn't. I know it was your daddy. Now, hush, please. So you went off to Europe, and your daddy came one night to the jail with Sheriff Lynx where they had me held. You knew that, right? Nobody bailed me out. I was there for a good long time. Your daddy just came down with the sheriff and then a word from them, and the guard, he just disappeared. That was a summer of disappearing acts, one after another. Poof. Anyway, your daddy and Lynx, they told me some things, and it was made very clear that I was no longer welcome in Hawboro. And did I understand? Lynx told me I could either leave or spend 20 years on a chain gang. I asked where you were. Your daddy hit me. I asked again. He hit me again. The sheriff didn't do nothing to stop him. No, he held me so your daddy could hit me even harder. And then Lynx whistled just once, and out come some men. The Picklers were the ringleaders, of course, but there were others. I got their names in my brain like a holy prayer for revenge. There were 7 of them, Eddie. 7. Your daddy leaned real close to me. I was terrified by then and wet my pants and so ashamed. He said, Eddie hates you. Eddie never wants to see your face again. Eddie is ashamed of you. You make him sick. He wants you gone. He wants you dead.
I told you I loved you.
People do tell people things, Eddie, and quite often these people almost even believe them when they say them. But
I believed it, Danny. I still do.
I know that now. But your daddy said, let's not talk about that. You got to let me get this said. Anyway, your daddy left me with those monsters. And then the fun began.
Oh, Jesus, no, Danny, don't.
I have to, baby. You got to hear this, all of it. So after they had done what they did, they hauled me out of jail and threw me in the back of a pickup truck. And we were flying. I had no idea where. I only knew how much I hurt and that we were far. So soon. So far away from Hawboro. It was country. I could tell that. But I was crying, Eddie, and they were laughing. I have never felt so low and lonely in my life. They just dumped me come morning, tossed me. I ultimately discovered in a tobacco patch on the Virginia side of Roxborough. I was a mess, and I didn't have no money, nowhere to go. I walked all that morning with the pain of what they'd done, walking all that morning not knowing where I was or where I was headed. You ever spent much time in South Boston, Virginia, Eddie?
No.
Consider yourself lucky. It's a godforsaken hellhole of a 2-bit tobacco town. But they got themselves a bus station.
Danny, no more.
I thought how boys down at the Oasis used to say, remember, if you ever found yourself down on your luck in a strange town with a desperate need for assistance, to get yourself right to the nearest bus station and smile and simper, and sooner or later there'd be somebody stretching out a helping hand. I didn't have a dime, Eddie.
I wired you money as soon as
That
I
was
knew where you were.
months later. Almost a year. I had nowhere. No one. I didn't know who to call or how to find you. I had nothing. You got any idea what it's like to not even have a nickel? No. You've always been blessed with riches, Mr. Blessing. But I thought I knew what it was being poor, raised up like I was. But I had no idea what it was actually like to be flat broke, busted, skint, on strange streets with nowhere to sleep and no one to call your name. So I went to that bus station, and I reckon them boys at the Oasis sure as hell hadn't never been to South Boston, Virginia, because there weren't nothing going on. It wasn't much more than a place to buy a ticket and a hard bench for waiting. But old Mr. Greyhound sure enough had him a watchdog at the ticket window. Mean little old bitty woman who kicked me out after about an hour or so. So I lowered it across the street, hoping against hope. Now, baby, it seemed to me there has to be a few of us in every town. Don't you think, Eddie? I mean, there has to be. There's so many of us, so many places, and even in secret. Don't you think, Eddie?
I suspect you're right.
Well, in South Boston, Virginia, I know for a fact there is at least one of us, and he goes by the name of Rufus. Big old ugly Rufus. Now, Eddie, when you met me, I wasn't nothing but a pretty little piece of white trash trying to turn you on. Biggest town I'd ever seen was Burlington. You took me to Greensboro that time, and my eyes like to pop right out of my head. Oh, them lights on Elm Street. But I've traveled some now, and I'm older, and I know this is true. There ain't too awful many kind people in the world. I've learned that, Eddie, the hard way. But Rufus, he was kind. He was gentle as he was ugly. He wasn't rich by any means and old enough to be my daddy. And he was a friend of Dorothy, if ever she had a friend. He lisped. But, oh, he was kind. I spent 5 nights in his bed, cared for, and he never touched me. Then he drove me in a load of tobacco from the auction house all the way to Richmond. Gave me a crumpled up $5 bill, and he kissed my cheek quick. And there were tears in his eyes when he wished me luck. Don't be so disgusted by me, baby.
I'm not. I swear.
Well, I ain't done yet.
Don't keep going.
Shh. Where was I? Richmond. Richmond was easy. Rufus dropped me at the train station first, and by supper I'd made enough for a stuffed young Tom turkey dinner at the Hot Shops cafeteria and a single room at the King Carter Hotel. Sooner or later, the boys at the station told me the best places to ply my trade, from bus station to train station to the tea room at Miller and Rhodes, and all the way late at night to a bar stool at Eaton's. And pretty quick, I was the belle of the ball, and could have stayed that way for a right long time if I hadn't ever met Nicholas. Nicholas was a real live concert piano player come all the way from Vienna, Austria. I spent a week in his suite at the John Marshall, and he persuaded me to accompany him on his southern tour. Next stop, Atlanta. Now, Nicholas had an enormous bank account, but unfortunately, an equally enormous fascination with inflicting pain. I've still got scars I could show you if you want to see how brutal one man can be in the pursuit of pleasure. So I left him as soon as we got to New Orleans.
Danny, baby, I am so sorry.
Well, you got to be sorry for. You didn't have a thing to do with it.
If I had known, if I had somehow...
If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass on the ground. Besides, when I got clear from Nicholas, I left him at the Pontchartrain and hid out in the quarter. And that's where this star was born. You more or less know the rest.
That's where you surfaced.
That's where your private eye tracked me down. I had, by then, given up my private performances, except for the most exclusive of clients. And so you only knew I was making a sudden sensation in the Nelly dramas on Bourbon Street. I'm loved there, Eddie. Adored. I've made a life in the quarter, and no one judges me.
What sort of life?
A good one.
And you think you could keep on dressing up and acting the fool when you're 50? 60? Living in a hotel suite, entertaining fat old Louisiana millionaires?
And what would my life be in Hawboro? A suite at the Mill King? I don't have any intention of coming home just to be Mr. Blessing's whore.
No, Danny. No, I brought you home to be my partner. My life.
That's gonna go over big at the country club.
In a matter of days, there's a good chance I'm going to be the most powerful man between Greensboro and Raleigh. One of the most powerful men in the country.
And Isabella is still gonna be your wife.
Of course, Danny, in name.
And what would I be?
My everything.
I'm serious, Eddie.
So am I.
What would I really and truly be?
I told you.
I would be your whore.
No. Don't say that.
Like I was when your daddy separated us. Your dirty little secret.
Things will change, Danny.
Baby, it is 1966, and there ain't nowhere hip enough to even tolerate what you're wanting.
Don't go back to New Orleans. Stay here with me.
As what?
Whatever you want to be.
I want to be your equal. Your side by side. I want to be the one you come home to. I want to be the one who sleeps beside you every night, Eddie. Not just when you can sneak away,
That can't... Danny, you know that can't ever be.
Then hell, Eddie. I want to be vice president of the mill.
What?
You heard me.
Seriously?
Yes. If I'm gonna be a whore, I want to be a high-paid one.
All right, you're vice president.
Eddie, I don't know the least thing about cotton.
I'll teach you. I'm serious.
Well, who's the vice president now?
Mortimer Chestnut.
That son of a bitch, he was there. At the jail that night, one of the 7, he was there.
He's gone tomorrow. Kiss me, Danny. Come here and kiss me.
As Daniel walks slowly toward the man he loves, Edward reaches out to take him in his arms, and they embrace. At that same moment, Eleanor, Lucy, and Isabella, returning home from church, walk down the hallway at Asterdale, glance into the library, and see Daniel lift his head toward Edward as they kiss. Time passes slowly, ever so slowly in a house ripped apart by a sudden truth. Daniel has checked into the Milking Hotel, and Isabella has refused to speak to Edward. It is now after midnight, Monday, March 28th, 1966. The library is in darkness, except for a cold spill of moonlight. Isabella has come to the library to fix herself a gin and tonic. She sits at the desk in the big chair, with her back to the doors, hidden from anyone entering the room. She sits silently for a long, long time. Edward, returning home from Daniel's hotel, slips into the library for a whiskey. He doesn't see Isabella as he goes to the bar cart to pour himself a drink.
I thought it was your drinking that put everyone in fits. Silly me.
Isabella, what are you doing up? It's a big day tomorrow. Go on up to bed, honey.
Everybody I know drinks. Everybody. You aren't even a particularly mean or loud or obnoxious drunk. You're just brittle, I reckon. And so, what a fool am I, Eddie, that I thought it was the drinking. How stupid am I that I didn't question my assumption. Your daddy was so ashamed of you. Aunt Lucy detests you. Everyone of good standing in this community looks down on you. Even Olive looks down on you. And they all treat me with such pity and contempt. How come I didn't think it was strange we had to leave town like thieves in the night, forced out into exile? It took your daddy dying, Eddie, to let you come home again. And now, surely, somewhere along the line, surely I should have asked myself what it was more than the drinking. It just might have been that you did to earn their condemnation. But I'm a good girl, aren't I, Eddie? A proper girl raised up right. I've learned not to trouble my mind with thinking too hard or looking too close. Mine is not to reason where or why. Mine is but to shut my eyes and whistle Dixie. Give me one good reason I shouldn't divorce you.
Double knit polyester.
Oh, go to hell.
I'm not joking, Isabella.
I am leaving you, Eddie.
Sit back down. I'm serious as sin.
Explain yourself.
Look, Isabella, I don't know what you've heard or who told you.
Oh, do not try.
No, I'm not. I'm just... Look, baby,
Do you have any idea how this makes me feel? That my marriage was a lie? A goddamned lie?
Don't torture yourself like this, Isabella. I swear, baby, this doesn't have anything in the world to do with you.
What? How can you... Oh. Go to hell. Edward Blessing, go to hell.
It isn't anything you've done. It isn't anything you can change. It's just a fact, a thing about me that I don't and you don't have any control over.
It's a sin.
If I could change this thing, I would. Daddy sent me to doctors and preachers and shrinks, and I got all kinds of shocks and prayers and nonsense after nonsense, but this thing inside of me that sees the world this forbidden way, it doesn't change.
And so you just lie to me and go on doing that disgusting, It makes me sick.
From the very first day I met you, Isabella, I wanted to love you like you wanted me to. Every day I prayed that you could save me. But that's not fair, Isabella. It's not...
You're damn right it isn't, Eddie. You should have told me. You should have
How am I supposed to tell someone like you what kind of man I am?
So you just lie? You just use me as some sort of an alibi? Don't you think I deserved to know that the man I loved, that I gave my body to, that man was a pervert?
Don't say that. Isabella, please don't.
Do you know how that makes me feel, Eddie? To know I'm not a wife. Just an insurance policy your daddy took out to protect the family name.
No, that's not...
The only thing I know is that I can't stay with you, Eddie. I can't let your daughter be exposed to this kind of...
Don't take Ellie away from me.
She's a child, Eddie. And you are a vile, disgusting
I'll fight you,
man.
Isabella, if you try to take...
Oh, I will shout the truth. Shout it.
Don't be a fool. Think what you're doing. Think.
I am. I'm thinking of the disgusting things that you've done
We're good
behind my
friends,
back.
Isabella. You said this yesterday. Partners. We get along. We're a pretty couple and folks consider us fun. We have a beautiful daughter and...
Who never loved me.
Nonsense.
Just like you. I've never been loved by you or her. Since the day you first smiled at me, I have never been loved by anyone at all. You are a curse on my heart, Edward Blessing.
Think with your head, Isabella, and not with your heart. This thing I am, it's secret. It has to be. It will always have to be. There will never come a day. Never, never. And it doesn't have to be a thing that disrupts what's good about us. And you, our marriage, it is not an insurance policy, an alibi. It's a partnership, Isabella. Like a business, raising a child, a girl child, who by the virtue of her blood will one day control all of this. Think of that. Eleanor as one of the most powerful people in this state, this country. It is a partnership that can sweep away the dust of the city, shake it and wake it from its antebellum dreams. We can double knit polyester. It's the fabric of the future, but blessings only deal in cotton. Now listen to me, Isabella. If I find out Daddy kept his promise, we're going to change things. We're going to build a brand new plant, a big one over there, yonder where Yellowwood Farms is. We're going to make the biggest leap any blessing ever has. We're going to drag this company out of the 19th century, and they're going to love us here in Hawboro. We're going to rule this town, Isabella. Not by the virtue of my blood, but by the genius of our brains. A modern-day mill king with his consort.
But who gives his whores his heart?
Don't feel cheated on that account, Isabella. My heart is cheap and all but worn out, but my kingdom, this vast kingdom, belongs to you.
Regardless of what happens with the estate, Ellie must finish the school year on Long Island. There's Camp Pine Cliff this summer. You moved mountains to get her in. She has to go. We'll leave for Garden City as soon as possible. You're not to come with us.
But, Isabella...
If, Eddie, the estate is yours, really and truly, and if you mean what you say about partners, and if you prove it to me, At the end of the summer, I will consider returning to Hawboro.
And if it isn't mine?
We're finished. You're finished. I will divorce you, and you will have nothing.
Isabella, I am so...
We'll be gone by morning.
And with that, Isabella leaves the library, and we come to the end of this part of Edward II. We hope to see you back soon in Hawboro. I'm Preston Lane, producing artistic director of Triad Stage and the author of Edward II, and I want to thank you very much for listening. I also want to give a very special thank you to our artistic team, Sarah Hankins, Foley artist Keaton Brower, props master Andy Canning-Skinner, and our editor, Taylor Dankovich. The cast of this episode included Kyle Metzger as Daniel Gibbons, Michael Newman as Edward Carson Blessing II, and Abigail Wilson as Isabella Blessing. For more information about Hawboro, including a Blessing family tree, visit hawboro.org. To stay up to date on what Hawboro is doing right now, check out facebook.com/Hawboro. For more virtual content from Triad Stage, visit us on Facebook and Instagram @Triad Stage. Support for the arts is more vital now than ever, and your help is essential. Please like and share our virtual content to spread the word about how we are continuing conversations with our audience and community. To make a donation to support our continued work, you can visit our website at triadstage.org/support. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you back in Hawboro.